Share my screen real quick. Give y'all a little update from last time before we get started. So some really good news. Q1, we met at the ranch. You might remember we talked about house parent recruitment. Well, we found our house parents. This was from our staff email that went out this month. We hired the Wards and the Covingtons to fill our last 2 house parent roles. You can see from the pictures, both very young, very energetic. They're exactly the kind of energy that the ranch needs. So thank you for your prayers and your input on what we did here. Love for you to check out the website here, goshenvalley.org/programs house parenting. You can just click through the site and you can find it pretty easy on the program tab up top. We had Serve Marketing, Keith Minnick, did all this for us for free. He created our house parent guide and a lead generating PDF on the website, where essentially they could see enough on the website to get curious and then download the full house parent guide that I showed y'all in Q1 in exchange for giving us their contact info. And so that let us start a chain of following up, building a relationship. We actually had another download this morning, so 25 house parent guide downloads since March 1st. So that has been our main source of referrals. We think this is going to be the pipeline we need going forward so that we never get in quite the same bind again, so that we're always kind of ready with 3 or 4 house parent couples on backup who are ready to jump in at a moment's notice. So thank y'all for your input and help on that. That is a huge help. Today we're going to cover Goshen Homes, and I wanted to tell you a little of why we decided to go this route today. With schools out, a lot of you know that teachers, administration, they are mandated reporters. The majority of kids who come into Goshen Valley, they come after a mandated report from a school staff. There's a lot of concern that with schools closed for this long of a period, when schools do reopen, there's going to be a lot more cases of abuse that pop up. We always see it after Christmas break, after summer break, even spring break, Thanksgiving break already, that when kids are at home for a week, a month, abuse becomes more obvious if they weren't eating the whole time, if they were being physically harmed in any way. With things going for this long, fewer kids are coming into care right now, but more kids are probably going to come into care as soon as schools reopen. Kemp and Tom Rawlings, the DFACS director, have both talked about that at length. There's going to be a big need for new foster homes at the end of this. There's going to be a lot of kids coming into care. The ranch and places like the ranch, they're not going to be able to double capacity. It's going to be foster homes opening that are what provide a healthy new normal for these kids. The problem is that right now, without being able to meet in person, without churches meeting in person, it's harder to recruit foster parents. We're running into that a little bit. We're doing the best we can. Sarah's doing a great job managing it. But we're going to need a lot more foster parents to meet the need that's going to come 6, 8, 10 months from now. That's why we thought Goshen Homes was the perfect place to share today. We've got Sarah Gough and Gaby Brumfield, pulled these from their Facebooks. Sarah recently engaged. She manages our foster parent recruitment. Gaby joined the team, I'm going to guess 6 months ago. I don't actually know when it was. She has a long background in this field, and she oversees all of Goshen Homes. So they're going to share an update with y'all, going to share how you can get involved and help, and a little more good news that actually happened last week. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah and Gaby.
All right. So Sarah and I kind of brainstormed how we wanted to structure our time with you guys today. And one of the big things that we wanted to do was introduce ourselves. It's our first times being here. So I wanted to just kind of take the time to introduce who we are and what we do within Goshen Homes. So I am the program director. As Evan said, I oversee Goshen Homes at large. So recruitment, home study, and the case management staff, just making sure that everything's running smoothly. We actually have our staff meeting for May shortly after this meeting. So we're going to try to breeze through this if we can. And then Sarah is over our recruitment and training. So she holds our info sessions, which then can be the catalyst for parents wanting to go through impact. She leads the impact trainings and then hosts our trainings throughout the year to keep our foster parents up to date with our 18-hour yearly requirement for their training hours. Other than us, we have quite a large staff. A lot of you guys may already know who those individuals are, but we have had some changes. So I wanted to just bring you up to speed on what that is. Our case management supervisor, Jessica Richards, is now becoming a foster parent with Goshen Homes. So that's really exciting. But that then left a vacancy for her position. So Kayla Faribaugh, who was a previous case manager, has been promoted to case management supervisor, and that is effective today. We also have a new case manager. His name is Anthony Bello. He has years of experience working in this field and in New York, like New York City, Bronx area. So he comes from like the tough of the tough. So I think he will be just fine working in Cherokee County, Georgia. And then we also have Cheryl Monroy. She is our new home licensing coordinator. She's helping out with Kathleen when it comes to home studies. We've been really, overwhelmed, which is a great problem to have when it comes to home study. That means that we're getting a lot of families who are wanting to become foster parents. So having someone there to help Kathleen kind of navigate through that, to help delegate home studies too, is going to be a great asset to our team. As far as how Goshen Homes is functioning as of right now, we currently are serving a total of 41 children, which is amazing. We've had 17 intakes so far in 2020. We had 5 in January, 9 in April, and 3 in May. As far as discharges go, we've had a total of 10. We had 3 in January that were placed in their DFACS county of origin. We had 4 in April. We had 1 disruption, 1 child who signed herself out of care as she was over the age of 18. And we had 2 reunifications that month, which is awesome. And then in May, we had 3 children adopted with the Ebner family. So that is so, so exciting. We definitely celebrate positive discharges. It's an amazing thing, whether children are able to go home and finally be reunified with their biological families, or if they're able to obtain permanency with one of our Goshen Homes foster families. So that was a huge celebration. As far as home studies go, and getting families licensed, right now we have a total of 12 primary families. Within that, we have 5 Proctor Families and 4 Kinship that are currently licensed and serving within Goshen Homes. We also have 12 respite families, 2 of which are represented on my screen. You guys are like right here for me.
There's a Proctor family and a Kinship family.
Okay, so Proctor families are families in which they serve as a primary family, having children in their home at all times. The requirement is that they have to have 1 foster parent, I was going to say foster family, but foster parent that stays at home to serve as a full-time foster parent. At that point, we are able to help accommodate expenses for them to where they're not missing out on having a full-time job income, and they have to have a minimum of 3 children in their home at all times. So these are kind of our families that as placement leaves, whether it be through reunification or if the children are going to maybe an adoptive placement, we then refill those beds on a cyclical level. So we really enjoy working with these families. They are very dedicated to the fostering mission, and they've basically signed up to do this as a full-time job, which is awesome. As far as kinship goes, these are very delicate families that we work with. These are relatives, for the most part, maybe even a family friend that has signed up to take in children that they know. These are placement specific, and a lot of the times the kids are already in this home. This home, prior to coming to Goshen Homes, has not been paid for the most part for their services. So the financial burden of taking care of children, especially if you're having children of your own and maybe you're bringing in another sibling group, can be very taxing on a family. So families come to Goshen Homes to seek out to become licensed families, so that way they are able to be compensated and to better take care of the children that they have in their home. We're able to help them with things like childcare. So CAPS becomes effective, whenever the home is a licensed foster family. They're able to get that per diem that is able to help buy groceries and help with the extra utilities and be able to put kids in extracurricular activities, all the things that our normal foster kids are able to do. They then get to have that benefit once their relative or the family friend becomes a licensed foster parent. So that we have 4 of those right now. And we currently have 2 that are in the pipeline that are coming down, but they're kind of fallen off the wayside. When I say Kinship is a very delicate type of placement, it is very difficult to work with these families at times. A lot of them may not be able to have access to internet to be able to get their paperwork done or to get their training done. So a lot of times our staff is having to go to their homes, whether it's in Murray County, which I don't know if you guys know how far that is. It's like an hour plus. It's a long drive, but they're having to go and be physically with them to do impact training or to do any other trainings, to do orientation and things of that nature, because maybe they don't have the funds nor the time to be able to come to our Goshen office and be in person for that training. We also have our home study contractors that are having to go out and physically sit down and do all their paperwork with these individual families because they may not be cognizant of technology. A lot of these kinship families are older. They're grandparents who are taking in their children and even have access to some of their great grandparents. So these kids are already there. So our biggest thing is trying to make the process of licensure as smooth as possible. And it can be difficult and frustrating even on the family's part because they don't understand why they have to get all this done. They're working a full-time job or maybe even 2 jobs to care for these kids. And so asking them to take time away from what they're already doing, what they're already overwhelmed with, and packing it on with new faces and paperwork and training, it can be very overwhelming for them. So taking the time to really hold their hand and walk through this process with them can definitely be time consuming. But I am just grateful that we have 4 right now that we're working with. And like I said, there can be ones that come and go that decide, hey, it's too much. I don't really want to go through this. I'd rather just kind of stick with what I'm doing. But for the most part, we have had some great success. One of the hiccups that we've had with this process is DFACS will refer a family to Goshen, but they will have CPS history or maybe a criminal charge that we can't overlook. And it's not necessarily a Goshen thing that we wouldn't want to license them. It's the state won't allow them to be licensed with this specific history. So one of the things that we've put in place to try to mitigate that is having DFACS screen them and then send us proof that there is not CPS history. Because what was happening is we were putting in all the time and the resources to get these families licensed, and then we would get their CPS report back and be like, oh, we can't work with them now. And we've just wasted that family's time, our contractors' time, and then even the money that it would take to get them to that point in the process. So our job right now is just trying to prevent those types of incidences from happening again. There will be times where we don't necessarily have answers when we want them, but our goal is to definitely try to help that from happening again. With our current contractors, our goal is to have 5 kinship referrals that we're working on at a time. Any more than that, I think we realized over the last few months, it's too much. So we said we're going to try to cap it at 5. And like I said, within that 5, you could have ones that are not eligible or ones that decide they don't want to move forward with the process. But at least then we have a good cushion, and hopefully at least 2 or 3 of those will be able to come through full licensure. As far as other families that we have coming through the pipeline, we have 5 primary families that are looking to come through, which is really exciting. And within those families, we have the potential to fill 12 beds. So 12 more kids that will be able to be served within Goshen Homes. And then we also have 2 respite families that are coming through the pipeline as well. So all this is really exciting. We should hopefully have these families licensed within the next 6 weeks or so. So we will definitely see an increase. We have been getting calls for placement right now, but I only have 2 open beds. So I haven't been able to accept sibling groups of 3 or 4 that have been coming through. A lot of the placement calls that we've been getting, if it's not of a big sibling group, have been children who are disrupting their placement, whether it's due to behaviors, whether it's due to the families just being unable to cope with not having childcare or something like that, and then having to go back to work. So we've been, kind of looking through our options, but as of right now, we just haven't had the placements that we need in order to fill our current open beds, but we're hopeful with these other homes coming through that we'll be able to fill them relatively soon after licensure. So Sarah was going to share her portion of what's coming through with recruitment and what we have coming up with Impact.
Awesome. Thank you, Gabby. That was great. I was like, yeah, she's hitting all the good points. So right now, obviously, this COVID-19 has completely changed the atmosphere of everything. Everyone is shifting their attentions to more of a survival mode. And so that kind of leaves some things that were secondary to not be addressed or dealt with. And so, we're having to shift along with that. So one of those things is, not being able to meet in person has been difficult, but thankfully, we're able to hop on Zoom when we have that access. But that is what we do in recruitment. What I do is I always initially meet with those families one-on-one. I love to get face-to-face contact with them because you can really just see body language. And part of recruitment and assessing a family, it's from the first meeting. The first time we meet with them, the first contact, we start that kind of assessment process. And so that's been a little bit challenging, but thankfully with Zoom we can do webinar calls and I can still kind of see their faces and their interactions. But we do have 3 families right now going through Impact. We were able to get a semi-virtual Impact class approved by OPM, who's our monitoring agency. So we're going to do 3 online virtual sessions, and then in a week or week and a half, we're going to move to in-person at the office with some social distancing in place. So that will be good to kind of get them, physically introduced to each other and to me, and we can kind of do a little more in-depth training because the nature of Zoom, you do want to keep it like shorter. It's not going to be a day-long training like we usually have. So we've had to kind of readjust and do the best that we can with that. But thankfully, we're able to still give just as good of content, just as quality of training as we would in person, and just shift some things around. So that's nice. We are hoping that we'll be able to do an in-person summer class. There's some things kind of up in the air with that. Like we're all just taking it week by week and day by day. Originally, we had scheduled a Woodstock City summer training. They're one of our partners. And so with some of their shifting of needs and focusing on food drives and meeting some other needs in the community, we've had to put that on pause to see what we'll be able to do. And also with the size of their church, them being able to get back together, and that time frame is kind of in question. So we're just rolling with the punches. Either way, we will have a summer class. It might be with just Goshen and our staff, our facility, and we'll do a Woodstock City training in the fall. So those are 2 things that are very good, very positive. So, with all of our main partners kind of having to shift gears and focus on different things, and then us as well having to kind of do that. We have had a slower recruitment season. That's actually, spring is one of our slower recruitment seasons anyway, because people are kind of phasing into that summer vacation mode, end of school year. They're not trying to pick up any new things in their life. So that's kind of a good thing. We're not seeing any huge drastic changes, but it is kind of putting a damper on moving into summer and fall recruitment. So along those lines, the needs that we have are really just helping us get the word out that we're still recruiting families, we're still talking, we're still building those relationships, and the need for foster families is still huge. Like Evan was saying in the beginning, we're going to see an influx. There's always been a need, but now we're going to see a huge a huge influx in that need. So thankfully we're able to get with our new staff and home study writers, get all those home studies out of the way that we're working on now. So I think whenever things really open up, we'll be able to hit the ground running with some licensing of families. We are still having information sessions. I'm doing those online. We're doing scheduled information sessions once a month, but then also just as people come along, we will have those as needed. So with the flexibility and the new flexibility in my schedule, I'm able to meet with people more often, which is great. So we're still doing that. So anyone that's interested, we're willing to meet and talk over Zoom. And over the phone to get them kind of going and get them down that in the steps. So one of our main goals right now that has been hindered by COVID-19 was reaching more Hispanic families. We've really seen kind of a need for some bilingual foster parents and just having and reaching those different demographics. Where we live is primarily Caucasian, and we understand that, but the needs of foster care is not necessarily primarily Caucasian. So any resources that you guys have available, any contacts that you have that you could share with us that might be helpful in recruiting those Hispanic families would be awesome. I've done some reaching out, but again, with people just kind of trying to survive right now, it's hard to start new partnerships and new connections. So anything on that would be great, would be helpful. So everything is looking really good as far as recruitment goes. We still have families reaching out. I will say, part of assessing a quality family is seeing how much effort somebody puts into wanting to do this process. And there's a lot that comes into fostering. There's a training, there's documentation. So we've kind of had to see, are people reaching out just because they have more free time right now, or is it because they really do want to do this and they've just kind of gotten to this place where they can do it? So that's been something that we've had to adjust and assess when people come in and email for interest. But we have had some really great leads and prospects, so that's been awesome. And that's all I have for recruitment.
If anyone here knows someone who would be a great foster parent that they would love to share more with, what's the best way to do that? Is it scheduling a meeting with them and you to go to lunch? Is it an email? How should people connect with you?
It's however you feel comfortable. If you feel like that person would be more comfortable meeting with you and me, we could do that. Or you could just send me their information. If they're okay with me reaching out and contacting them. I think that's usually a little bit better than them waiting to reach out to us, because we can kind of just meet them where they're at. So either, combined thing or an individual thing based on what of their comfort level starting this conversation.
Very cool. And Aaron sent me a text during it. Would you have to pass a drug test to do it or not? Him and his wife are interested, but that's a...
Yes, you do. Yes, a full panel.
What other questions, comments, thoughts do y'all have for the Goshen Homes team?
I was just thinking, and I don't even know, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. Would it ever be economical or efficient or whatever to maybe try and teach Spanish to existing foster parents? I know, at least in my personal experience, I've took Spanish classes in high school and college and have a basic understanding of the language, but I don't know, again, just thinking out loud, but I don't know if that would ever be an option if there really is just this huge need for it, if maybe that's a way we could adapt until we have that those leads or prospects coming in that are bilingual. Just throwing it
Yeah,
out there.
I think that that's a great idea that we can look at. No, none of our foster parents have expressed interest in wanting to learn, and I'm sure we'd be able to facilitate that. I think one of the concerns would be the depth of knowledge of language to be able to understand and articulate like traumatic terms and things like that. And even among like my Hispanic friends and my fiance, like they say different words for different things based on where you're from. So, that could also bring a challenge is we could teach basic Spanish, but if that family's from Guatemala, they might have totally different words than would Mexican Spanish. So it might be even more of a hurdle to do that. If we had a family that was willing and committed, absolutely, I think we would be on board to do that. But we would just need that commitment because learning a language can be very difficult. But so yeah, I think that's a great idea that we haven't thought about and definitely haven't explored. So something to put on the table.
I'm curious where most of the new parents come from. Does it come from kind of the same sources, or is it sort of organic in different places, or is it like the same sort of resources that generate those new people?
It's a little bit of both. So with Woodstock City, they have a foster care ministry. So they do a lot of recruitment for us. So we do have a good stream coming from them. But with what I mentioned earlier, with them having to focus on some different areas, that's slowed up a little bit. But we do have running ads in the Town Laker and Canton Magazine. So we do get a good amount of leads from those sources. A lot of it is foster parent, word of mouth, staff. So I would say our strong quality prospects come from those key partnerships like His Hands or Woodstock City, but we do have a few that trickle in from just that general blanketed marketing. Along with that, we are looking at doing Facebook ads, because with Facebook ads, you could do very targeted areas and very targeted demographics of people you're trying to reach. People are on Facebook a lot these days. So that's another thing that we're going to try to utilize in the next week or two to try to generate some of those leads.
Anything else? Awesome. It's cool. We've got 2 foster parents on here with us. Y'all probably already know Garrett and his wife fostered for 2.5 years. I remember you sent like 719 days or something. I forget the exact number. How close was I? I'm curious now.
I think you're right there. I have to go back and double check because it's been a sec. I think it was like 720 something. So you were like right there.
Man, I'm pretty awesome.
Good memory. And humble.
Of course, yeah.
Us humble people have to stick together.
Absolutely. Me and you, man.
I wanted to make one more.
Oh, what's that?
I just wanted to make one more comment. I know, in the beginning, Gaby rattled off a lot of changes and shifting. And if you don't know the inside workings, you might not know what all that means to us. But I've been with Goshen since 2016, and Goshen Homes is the strongest it's ever been. And when I look at our staff and what we're doing, I literally get chills and excitement for what's to come. We have some very strong case managers, very strong leaders, and we're just really in a position for growth and sustainability. And we've grown so much in the last 2 years. So hearing those shifts, you're just hearing staff changes, but I'm hearing so much growth. And with one of those, our case management supervisor, Jessica, and her husband being foster parents, I've talked with them about the idea of being foster parent coaches. They are very committed to just fostering right now and really ministering to the kids and the families. So that's another area of growth that we're going to try to implement in the next year or two, is having those kind of mentor coaching foster parents to help those new people, get in the groove and learn best practice and stuff like that. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because I know sometimes you hear it and you're like, sounds good, but from my perspective, it's just so much to celebrate.
I did want to piggyback off of that. With everything that's happened with COVID this quarter, I think having everybody at home, having foster parents having to now be teachers too. I know the school year has ended for some, but not for all. So for them having to kind of take on that dual role, you can expect frustrations to rise. You can expect behaviors to be on the rise as well. We have really been able to preserve placement. Like I said, we've had one disruption this quarter, but we've really been able to preserve placement, go in and support our families, and we've maintained census since late January. So that is fantastic. I know right now we no longer have any base level children, meaning kids that are not a part of a sibling group. So there's like a financial difference there, but our goal as Goshen is to keep siblings together, and right now all of our sibling groups have been able to maintain those placements. So that is a really exciting thing to do in the face of all this uncertainty with COVID. So I really appreciate being able to be a part of something like that.
Definitely. If Garrett were to give you the honest stories of the early days of Goshen Homes, some of it wouldn't be pretty for sure. I can definitely.
Oh, I don't know. I think it was better than what DFAX was going through in early 2016.
There you go. I appreciate that. Well, it's definitely stronger now than it was back in the early days.
It's just grown. I mean, it's gotten better. It's gotten stronger, and I think the biggest difference is just I said actually the one thing that hasn't changed from the start when we joined until today is that the kids are number one. And that's what it's all about, is making sure that the kids are supported the way they're supposed to, and the foster parents are supported the way they're supposed to. And, you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect, but you just got to make that effort. And I think Goshen makes that effort.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. That's awesome. I appreciate y'all giving us a good Goshen Homes update. I'm going to share a few more quick updates. I'll get you out by 9:30, I promise. Go back to sharing my screen here. Check out those great pictures one more time. Little development update from Goshen. We've had a remarkably good quarter. Wanted to share 6 pictures, and really you guys in large part are to thank for a lot of these. Top left, that is from a church food drive. Woodstock City and His Sands have both done food drives for us that have stocked our pantry. Even better news, thanks to kind of an influx of food donations, we've got a much more organized system at the ranch for how we process food donations now, including we've got a partnership with Cisco where they're treating us like a restaurant and giving us bulk pricing, delivering food out to the ranch now. We've gotten much more cost efficient on our food to help us kind of cover the cost of having kids 7 days a week, 3 meals a day instead of being at school. That's an upgrade that'll stick with us long after this season's done. Guns and Hoses 5K at the bottom left. Even though we've got 2 policemen on this call, the fire department supported us, and we won for the 5th or 6th straight year. Really great event. A lot of y'all were out there. Top middle picture. I didn't have a picture of actual Easter service, but thanks to a lot of things, thanks to you guys supporting and us having the well at the ranch, in addition to the benefit of the ranch kind of being a little isolated from the community, we were probably the only place in Cherokee County that had an Easter service. Our kids at the ranch, they had that 14-day incubation period where they were social distancing. After that, we did no one on, no one off the ranch, and could pretty confidently know no one there had it. So they've been able to gather, to have church services together, to play sports with each other. It's been a really cool environment. At the bottom of the food drive, y'all might remember probably 2 months ago, we sent you out the email saying, hey, is this an awful idea? Is this a good idea? What are your thoughts? You guys were the ones who encouraged us to do it, and it's gone really well. This picture's the Jason Dickerson Foundation. They bought out like half of Costco and brought it to us. We've made some really good contacts from this, and we collected all their emails to send them thank yous. They're going to be on our donation, on our donor email updates. So because they brought food by, they're going to continue hearing about Goshen. Kyla isn't here today. She's on the community council, but she has been part of the school system. They've been bringing meals out to the ranch as well. They've tried to continue providing food for the free and reduced cost lunch kids they've got. They've done a lot to help the ranch out with that. At the bottom right, Zaxby's, they've donated several meals to us. Wanted to, because I'm planning to invite Fred Weir to join the community council. One thing I'd love us to do is start to slowly grow this group a little bit. I don't know if it's one a quarter we invite, but if you guys have recommendations for people who already know and love Goshen, not kind of a cold call or an introduction, but people who are already committed and love what we do, it'd be great to grow this group a little bit with people like Fred. He's an amazing guy for sure. Upcoming events. Cool news. We booked Andrew Stanley. He's got a pretty famous dad named Andy. He's a pastor of a local church. Andrew,
graduated with him.
You graduated with him? That's awesome. Very
I
cool.
love him. Oh, he's great.
Hilarious. I wasn't sure at first if he was just banking off his dad's fame and trying to make it off that. He's actually really funny. He's going to do our evening with Goshen this year. We are booked for Thursday, September 3rd at Woodstock City Church, just like last year, except we're not selling bricks this time. This time we're going to use that program to help fund Goshen Therapeutic Services to reach families on the preventative end. If you guys are interested in helping out with that again, two things we need. We need table hosts. You guys last year really pulled through for us. Most of this group hosted a table, which is not a financial commitment. It's just saying, I will bring 7 people with me who I think would donate to Goshen. It's the perfect opportunity we have all year to introduce new people to what we do at Goshen. Really fun event, no financial cost to come. We hope everyone there will donate $100 or so, but there is no pressure or commitment. We'll also need some event volunteers, people to help set up the venue, welcome people as they come in. So if you guys are interested in that, let us know. We haven't announced it yet, just purely because September 3rd could still be up in the air. We hope everything is up and running by then. We do plan to announce it in kind of the next 2 to 3 weeks, probably. Give people enough time if we are able to keep that date. I would say we're 85, 90% sure we'll be able to have it then. If not, we'll play it by ear and adjust. We've also got the Goshen Valley Classic again, Monday, October 19th. We assume everything will be good by then. So we're going to continue having our big golf fundraiser. Last year, this event raised $192,000. This year, we expect it'll be down some. You know, businesses, that's where we've lost most of our donations. Individuals, they've increased their giving. Foundations, grants, that's gone up. It's businesses that are hurting right now. If a business has to choose between laying off an employee or giving to Goshen, you know, they're choosing to keep their employees, and I respect that and I get it. I hope the economy turns by then and things are going well. They're able to participate and sponsor, but we don't really know how the event's going to go. We've gotten a few of our key sponsorships. We're still waiting on Northside to confirm, but went ahead and put them on the logo because they've been such a good partner to us, and we assume they'll pull through again. We always need volunteers at this, and our volunteers, it'll sell out for volunteers. If you want to get in on this, you guys have priority, but it's a fun day for everybody. If you or your company are interested in sponsoring, whether it's a golfer, a whole sponsor, any of that, huge help. Also, raffle item donations. That's an area we think will be down a little bit too. We don't think as many hotels are going to give free weekend stays or the packages we normally get. So if you know anyone who has any sort of raffle item, great example. Last year we had someone donate a stay at their beach house for 4 days. That sold for like $600. If you've got a second home that would be somewhere you'd be willing to rent out, you know, companies willing to donate items, packages, make a gift basket. Those do really great for us. And it's all revenue at that point. There's no cost with that. So those are a huge help. That's all I've got. So thank y'all. The key theme of my remarks there, everything through, you guys are really responsible for. This group has really taken a lot of ownership in the success of Goshen. Y'all are sharing, y'all are helping. We so appreciate all you're doing for our kids, for our ministry. When you see the news that we've got 101 kids, it's remarkable, and it's because of people like y'all supporting us and helping us get there. I think we're up to 102 today. Those 102 kids are in a way better place today because of you guys. So thank you. We've got 8 minutes left. We'll get out early unless anyone has any questions, thoughts, comments. Very nice. Guys, thank y'all. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Look forward to hopefully seeing y'all in Q3. We'll wait a couple weeks or a month to schedule something so we can hopefully do it in person, but you'll hear from me soon.
Thanks, Evan.
Thanks, Evan. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
everybody.
Thank you guys. Y'all have a
Thank
good
y'all.
Thanks.